Hi, this is Pavel with a C# exercise from the book Visual C# 2012 How to Program, Chapter 16, Exercise 5, Pick Latin. And this is a simple exercise that we will use to kind of practice manipulation with strings. What Pick Latin is that to translate each English word into a Pick Latin word, place the first letter of the English word at the end of the word and add letters I. So thus the word jump becomes ump instead of jump, and the J is added at the end, and then the I, AY, is added at the very end. Or the word the becomes HET, and then of course I at the end, and of course computer, for example, becomes omputercay. Alright, so we will keep the blanks between the words, and we will assume that the English phrase consists of words separated by blanks and that there are no punctuation marks, and that all the words have at least 2 letters. So they make it easy on us. Enable the user input to input a sentence, and we will use a method called getPickLatin that should translate a single word, so not all of them, just one at a time, into Pick Latin, and we will keep running display of all converted sentences in a text box. Okay, so let's do the translation first. I already have the form, text box for the input, text box for the output. So when we input the text, we click change to Pick Latin, and outputs into another text box. Okay, so if I go to the code, the first thing I'm going to do a constant, and it's going to be a string, and it's called extension, and this is going to be the I that's added at the end of every word. Alright, so when we click the button, what we're gonna do is translate one word at a time. So our string, I'll call it translation. I'll initialize it to empty. And our string, which is going to be an input, and that is the whatever the user enters into a text box. So it's the text in a text box. And now what we need to do, we need to split the input for one word at a time. Remember, they are all separated by spaces. So what we're going to do is store every word in an array, and that's very simple. We will do a string array, and I'll call it temp input, and it simply equals to the input dot split, and it's split on empty space. So now this, without any loop, this will basically store one word at a time, each word into our array. So element 0 will be the word, the first word, element 1 will be the second word, and so forth. So I'm going to create a private function. It could be a public, doesn't matter in this case. Private string, like they want us to get Pick Latin, and it will accept a string of input, or you can name it whatever you want, but I'm naming it input. And it will return the actual word. Remember, we're doing one word at a time, so I will declare a string called word, and I will also declare string first letter, because we need to move the first letter to the end. And now it's going to be very simply the substring of the input, whatever the user supplies. Remember that we're supplying one word at a time. So, and it's the first letter, and it's only one letter. So 0 is the starting index, and 1 is the ending index. So this will give us the first letter, and we will store it in the variable called first letter. So now our word, we can now construct the word equals the remainder of the letter of the input of the input word, but this time we start on the second letter, because remember we are moving the first letter to the end, and the second letter will become first, the third letter will become second, and so forth. So our input.substring 1, we don't need the final index because it's starting index all the way to the end of the word. So in this case, for example, if the word is, let's say, computer, we're starting from O all the way to the end, and that's going to be the beginning of our word, omputer. Now we will add C to the end of it, and then I to the end of that. So this is, we have the first portion of the word. Now we will add the first letter that we got from the substring over here. And finally we will add the I, which is stored in the constants extension, and I will add an empty space so the words are separated by spaces, and we will return word. So now we can come over here to our button click event, so and call the function now, and we can call it from the loop because we have to loop through all the words, and then we will call this function for each word. So for integer I equals 0, I is less than our array length, so, and the array is temp input that length, and I plus plus. So this will loop through the array of words that we split over here, and now all we have to do, we need to add each of those words to our translation. Translation is a string, so we will simply append each word that is returned from this function. So we will do plus equals, and we will call the function get pig Latin, and we will pass the word, again one word at a time, and the word is a temp input, the element of I. So again, this is looping through the array of words that we split over here. We will add each word to the translation, and each word is returned from this function. It's already translated to the pig Latin. So we will simply call the function, we will pass each individual word to it, it will do the construction of the word into pig Latin and returns the word, and that is being stored into the variable translation. So once this loops through all the words, our translation will equal the pig Latin words separated by spaces that we added here. So what we have to do now is simply do the output text, and that equals translation. And that's about it. Let me run that. Let's see what we get. So if I say Pavel loves computer programming, and I change to pig Latin, and I got nothing. Actually, I got an error. So let me see what's happening here. Index and length must refer to a location within the string. All right, so what we have here, the first letter, which is the input. So what are we passing here? Let me see. Not really seeing any particular error. Let me do a quick debug over here. I'll see what is being passed into the function. So if I do Pavel loves whatever, and it goes to the for loop, and I get pig Latin, the input is empty. So it doesn't take the first word. The input, okay. Our input doesn't equal text output, it equals text input. I simply assign a wrong text box to it. Duh. Okay, let's try again. So Pavel loves computer programming. And now I think I assigned it because it did it, but it assigned it to a wrong. I confused the I reversed the text boxes. Inputs where I was supposed to be input, I assign output, and where it was supposed to be output, I assign input. Alright, so let's try one more time. So, yeah, there you go. And here it is, my first name Pavel, and it skips the it starts with AVOL, then it adds the first letter, which is P, and adds AY at the end. Then there's a space, the word loves, so it skips or it doesn't output the L, it places it at the end of, it starts with OVES, and then L, and then I. The same with computer, the C is at the end, and then AY, and then programming, P is skipped, and it's placed at the end of programming, and then AY. So this is actually working correctly. Alright, I wanted something else, I think, at the end. Keep running display of all the converted sentences in a text box. Oh, so okay, what we need to do, I'll do this as a multi-line, I guess. So I'll turn that into true, so it's gonna be a multi-line true. And over here, instead of just assigning it to it, we will add the final translation to it. I don't know if it's gonna be on the separate line though. Let me see. Now it just adds it towards the end. So translation, and we need to add a new line. So let me see if this is going to work with just a separator. And that's the first. Still not. So to add a new line, I think that is called environment.newLine. So we will simply add it. Yeah, that. But you know what? I think what we also do. Let me just make this one a little bigger. And we need to add scroll bars, otherwise we would not see anything. So where's the scroll bars? Here, there you go. And these are, I guess, vertical. All right, so if I run it now, let me see what we get. Now it's building a little longer this time. Okay, but it's doing, oh, there you go, it moved. Oh, jeez. Okay, here we go. So, loves programming. We get a string displayed, and Pavel hates, I don't know, peanut butter. And we got it on the other line. And if I add 8, Pavel does not care about, I don't know, about something. No particular thing. This is just for the test, obviously. And now we got the scroll bars, and here is our third sentence. And you can see that the way the words are being constructed is correct. It moves the. Oh, did I just delete them? Sorry. There we go. You can see that the first letter is moved to the end, and then it's the AY on appended to it. Okay, so yeah, I guess this will do for this exercise. So just to quickly, we have a text box that expects the input from the user, and we will get that input. And we will split that input, separate it by space, add it to our array. Then we will go through the array, and remember each element of the array now is one word. Add that by calling the function getBigLatin, which expects the argument input, which is the word itself. and then we have the first letter, which is simply the use of substring, and then we will append everything together, construct the word by the whole word minus the first letter. At the end, we will add that further, and at the end of that, we will add the extension, the AY, and the empty space to separate the words. Then we come over here and do the same for the second word, third word, and so forth, with each iteration of the loop appending that word to a translation variable. And at the end, we will simply output the translation variable into our text box, and we will add to it a new line. So the next sentence that is entered is being translated and output to a new line. All right, so fairly simple. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you next time. Take care.